Morning, everyone. Everyone's here that should be here. There'll be no apologies. We'll move straight into public forum. Laurie, would you like to speak? Please.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. I'm here to get support from the community board for a CCTV system around the Tairua township. I'm here and assisted by the Tairua police officer in charge, Dylan Curtin. After the damage to the toilet block and the restaurant furniture, as you remember, I was asked to investigate by a number of people the viability of forming a night patrol around Tairua. To me, it proved not a very good idea, as in a small town with a police station not operating 24 hours, and the patrol with no ability to apprehend but only to call police, it wouldn't be a very, very good idea to have a patrol, as they would not, as the police would not be on duty. The patrol would have to call police from outside the area, which would either have to be Wongata, Tech, or Woodianga. You remember that with that furniture and the toilet damage, no arrests or with no evidence being able to be obtained, no charges have been laid. So the only system really would be an effective CCTV system, would not only act as a deterrent, but also able to capture evidence. This will be operated and monitored from the Tairua police station, not by a private company, which I think is most important, having information being gathered in the police hands. We're currently conducting a poll through the Tairua Chit Chat site, and it's been overwhelming, the amount of public support for these cameras. Of a total so far of 458 votes that have been in, 417 have been for the installation of cameras in the town, which is a very, very big proportion. CCTV cameras have been fitted in other small towns on the peninsula, and all have been monitored by the police. One of these being Coromandel town, which is probably smaller than Tairua, and they have found, the group that organised this, they have found that it's been a great deterrent in preventing crime and for following up on incidents. I know Dylan is very familiar with that system. He has been operating on that system, and I'm sure he can confirm the effectiveness of it. I've had the privilege of observing the operation of the Wongata cameras and see the area that they cover and what they can do without having patrols. I know Wongata have cut back on their patrols quite a bit because of the cameras, and the detail and the clarity of which they can give, even at night, is a big thing. So I'd like to call Dylan, think of a police point of view and support the need for the cameras.
I think I'll just be real quick, guys, 2 minutes. So yeah, pretty much just touching on what Laurie said. Cameras, I think, are a must in any town. If we don't have them, we're behind times. It makes my job a hell of a lot easier. We can hold people accountable evidentially. And it's just a reassurance for the public. Community's made their views pretty clear. They want cameras. If we don't get them now, we know we're going to get them. It's just a matter of time. I think now's a good opportunity to do it, and we've got a bit of momentum behind it. It's obviously going to be a community-led project with the support of us. And we've already got the AMPR cameras in town. The benefit of these is they capture a lot more. That camera has one purpose. This camera has more than just that purpose. Not really too much else to add, but I think it's a great idea. It'd be good to get some support. Cheers.
Thank you. Gloria, welcome.
Hello. I'm Gloria Reedy. I'm on the Tairua Residents and Ratepayers Association, and I've just got a presentation from them. Basically, it's for the 10-year plan. First and foremost, they wanted to express their concern that the meeting for the community board to discuss and give their recommendations for our 10-year plan has been brought forward to this afternoon and is to be held in closed session. This gives the community board, our representatives, very little time to discuss and gather information as to what the community wants and needs actually are, to be able to make informed decisions and recommendations on our behalf. Although we know we are at present restrained in our spending because of the severe budget cuts as a result of the financial mess we are now in, we would point out that this is a 10-year budget and it must look ahead, future-proofing and planning for the long term. As the demographics, needs and expectations change for the future diverse and growing community. Unfortunately, many of our major long-term priorities, although included in previous long-term community plans and budgets, have still not been addressed. Now, I don't know if you want me to go through this or if you want me to sort of just table it. Okay. Certainly, the first priority, of course, is increased water storage. So that's really sort of it. So we've got 13 of priorities there, and we will certainly be submitting more fully when the draft plan is available for submissions. But it would be lovely to see some of these things actually completed. Redbridge Road is certainly one of them. You can't have economic development when we're the only town without an industrial area, and this has been going on for well over 30 years, with money having been set aside to sort out the titles and so on, and it's still not done. The tenants out there do not have surety of tenure. They've basically got no business that they can actually sell or even invest to get loans from the bank. Skate park's another issue. I don't know if it's only just been put in front of you. The other thing that we were asking is what is happening with the Pepe toilet block that was supposed to be started.
Pretty quick answer there.
Yeah.
You go on the website and you see it all. It's all up there, black and white, one colour.
Well,
The progress there, all there.
well, certainly the number, we had a well-attended meeting and this was brought up by a number of the attendees there, so. And they're a lot more technology up to date than what I am.
Got a question?
Yeah.
Through the chair? Yeah, Gloria, yeah, just reading these here. Are these in order of preference or not?
Yes, they are.
Right, okay, that's fair. Yeah, and I'm sure there'll be an opportunity for the committee to present. I think that's part of the deal, so we won't be just tying it all up and without the discussion. I'm sure you'll get the discussion.
No, it's just it seems to be the wrong way around. You should have the discussion.
Oh, that'll cover, it's just getting our act together, what we're
Yes.
trying to do.
Right, well, thank you.
Thank you, Laurie. Jerry? Sorry.
Larry.
Barry?
No, just before Gloria got up, the gentleman who made that presentation for the CCTV campus, I'm waiting for this, if there's any questions to be asked. I've got some. Have you got how much is it going to cost? Any idea?
We've only got an idea. We would have had the cost, but with the events of last week, the person due to the cost couldn't get through, so we could not get that. But at this stage, we've only got estimates.
Yeah.
And it's quite expensive. We're going off the Coromandel Town one, which cost $45,000 to $50,000.
And have you any intention of going to the residents and asking them for donations?
Yes, yeah.
Because that's what we've got here.
Yeah. We've, with that poll, we've conducted quite a few residents also, and they were very willing to contribute.
We'll be approaching businesses as well.
Yeah.
Benefiting, the businesses that benefit from the cameras, we're going to be approaching them with crowdfunding. It's all going to be considered.
Yeah, and I had one little question, just back to the cameras, is that okay? Okay. Yeah, are they number and recognition cameras, or are you just looking for 180-degree visual cameras? Like, are they going to have them in Gila Town, or where are they going to be located?
They have the ability to do both.
Number recognition as well as 180. Oh, yeah. The other one we had, you've been to Whangamatau, most of you know, very successful there too, but getting the signal to ping to the right location is one of the key things. That's something you need to discuss for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Whangamatau are in the process of extending this right out as far as Opori.
Yes.
But they've got the hills in front, but they're beaming the signal to a tower and back to the station.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask? That's in relation to the cameras. Are you also considering applying to various different funding people as well?
Purely depends on how much the donation contribution we get. Then we can look at going for funding.
Thank you.
Right, thank you. Gordon?
I've got nothing to say today, I'm just here to keep you going. The state political system licensed out there, they've got a meeting to come on to the 20th, and so we're having a meeting, and it's been, Jonathan Smith has organised it, and that was on Friday, so.
It's the 20th, is it? Because you didn't come back to me on Friday. You rang me first.
That's Thursday. It's Thursday, and I see you're on the part, Chris.
Yeah.
And I'm delighted that we finally, but that's what happened the last time we had a meeting 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's another meeting, Gordon.
No, this time you can have a say.
Thank you, Bruce.
No problem.
Good to see you keen to come on to these meetings. Judith Peters,
Good
good
morning.
morning.
Do you want me to talk here or over there?
Please yourself.
Oh, okay. Oh, and here's a not everybody else. Thank you for allowing us to speak. I haven't really prepared anything very formal, but I'm here with our surrounding neighbours. We reside down the far end of the beach towards Billy Point, and really here to express our deep concern about the very fast erosion of the dunes. Kelly, my husband, and I have been beachfront property owners for 35 years, and we walk the beach almost daily. So we very closely observe, and in that 35 years, we've resided the last 7 years here. Just what's happened probably in the last 18 months, but most particularly the last 3 months, the acceleration of the erosion is very alarming. I've been talking with various people from the committee and the board, and just really starting our communication, but we really would like to meet with stakeholders as in property owners, with representatives who can hear and help us work through this. We've got some ideas that we've been talking about, and we've had some feedback about planting, but quite frankly, the plants, the grasses that are normally there are not holding, because the waves are coming up so far, very high tides, and they're cutting deeply into the exposed sand cliffs. And then about a metre at a time, the grasses are just shearing off. And we've got those beautiful pine trees along there, and now the leader roots are coming right down onto where all the sand dunes have gone. It is very alarming because it's coming right up to the reserve now. We're probably about, 8 metres away. And we just believe that it's been faster than anything we've ever observed. So we really think there needs to be a plan and also a budget. One idea that was suggested is looking at how it's been managed in Omaha, where they've put a rock groin out. And Karen has actually lived there, haven't you, Karen? Do you want to?
So what happened in Omaha was they removed all the dunes when the development took place, and all of the beachfront houses were swept away in a storm, just with the high tide, and the water came in, and so they built a groin on the estuary, just beside the estuary, and all the sand dunes have rebuilt up, and it's been very, very successful. So that was one option. We went and saw.
Yeah, we understand, co-owner and neighbour of Judas. But we've seen erosion occur, at around several of the beaches, north of Omaha or Matarangi, Waihi. And you get the feeling that, they've seen either similar or less levels of erosion, than we've actually seen down here. And yet they have actually sort of decisively done something about it, in the form of rocks or groins or, the upright poles. So I guess what we're concerned about is very interested to know, what your guys' reaction is or understanding of what's happening down there, and, whether you've got access to or sort of knowledge of some expertise which, can give us a bit of a guide of, what can be done.
Yeah, we want to understand the dynamics, why it's happening like this so rapidly. And so we'd like to talk to some scientific expert that you might be in contact with. Now, I understand that there are 4 panels that have been formed, or in the process of being formed, but my understanding is that the one for this area has not formed yet. So we would like to be in communication with whoever's doing that and look at the timeline. But we do really see this as a matter of urgency, and we need to know who we can voice our concerns through and see some kind of action plan be put in place. I also just, I haven't, as I said, don't have any formal presentation, but I did actually quickly print off some photographs, which you can circulate or I can send them by email. The first one being a photograph which shows us being down the end how deep the dunes are, the deeper colour there, and the next two, the next photo, oopsie, is just showing what I was saying about the grasses that have been planted, how they're just shearing off because of the way the waves are gouging in. And then the last 2 photos are the groins that we've just been referring to of rocks that have been put in at Omaha.
Those, you say those, they fall in and those grasses, what are they, don't they start growing back again eventually?
Well, not all, we've pretty well lost 50 metres in just months. There is nothing for them to grow back on.
Grass.
No, but there's nothing to grow
The
back
grass
on.
is at the top, the grass is at the top, and under there, so the water comes up, takes away the underneath, and, that's all
Not so much the grass.
swept away.
The top, we put in probably 2 or 3, 4 years. They fell down and they started growing.
No, but they get swept away.
And it's swept away by the sea,
I'll show you.
It's a little bit.
The tide is higher, it's coming in higher and higher. And I guess we need an aerial photograph to show that at our end, we are getting excessively high tides. It's not just at high moon, it's the full moon. It's unseasonal.
But we've had a lot of showers.
And there is no June for the grasses to grow on, it's just so sheer.
Just not-
Over the years, these things have happened and they've tend to come back a little bit.
Yeah, well, we've been here 35 years and observed, and it's never come
I've
back
been
to
here,
the
I've been here about
extent.
30 years as well.
Yeah, but it's never come back down to that extent.
Thank you. Thank you, Judith.
Okay.
Judith, you got a
Yeah, Judith, just a couple of quick ones. Yeah, I was listening to your story, and it's one that is sort of resonating around the eastern coast at the moment.
Yes.
Those panels will be put together early September, so they haven't been decided yet. They will be elected and put together, and that's part of looking at the coastal structures for the next 50 years. So they'll have some trigger points about things what to do, but the erosion of the beaches is something that nature does do. Waves come in and take the sand away, and it does replenish. They've looked at hard structures, but they won't accept those kind of hard structures along the eastern coast. That's with the coastal scientists, like Darren thing. And Waihi beaches tried the hard structures and they all failed. So the soft structure, when letting the sea, we bring the sand back in over time, and when it does fall into the right place, there's a rush planting and things like that to try and hold it. But it's just what happens with nature, unfortunately. So the coastal panel meetings will certainly come up with some answers that will give us the best opportunities going forward.
I've just got several pages here of this booklet, which is Pauanui Vision Achieved, and I can't see anywhere, any page that has the extent of the erosion that's taken place. And if you can show me a photo, I can show you photos where it's 2/3 and certainly it's 2/3 greater than it is now.
Yeah, well, that's consideration. Sea rise is going to cause
So
more.
there isn't, I haven't seen a photo in here where it's shown any photos at all where it is now.
Yeah, I'm
So this is
not
really
disputing that, but just saying the future is that maybe hard structures aren't the right idea at the moment, and I don't know where they go in the future, but that's what they're saying. Not us, the scientists.
Yeah, well, it's really good to know from an expert. Wouldn't it?
Judith, I did email back to you, and I hope that you've been in touch with Tanya Patrick, who is the planting person, and I hope you've been in touch with the ratepayers here who are planning the planting. And
No, actually, I haven't been in touch with her because I answered the email, she was going to get in touch with me. And quite frankly, we don't, our group don't see planting as, we're talking about, we're really concerned down our end at the moment. Yeah, well, I'm happy to help with planting, but I don't see that as a solution in any shape or form.
I can actually give you some photos from 1970 all along this coast, where we had the same problem in 1970.
But with all due respect, it wasn't so highly built up.
No, and I can also give you some photos and some meters from 1970 on the Harrogate catchment board. One of the reasons why we've got the gap going all the way up this coast before we have buildings.
Thank you, Anne.
So
Any
this
questions from the back here?
More a response. I got an email late last week from Jamie, your new erosion
Yes.
expert, which I'm going to forward to all our members today, together with a banner. Yeah. So he did get back to me late last week. So I'll forward that to all our members, send my email around. Also with his contact details. So he's a council's erosion expert. I believe he's new.
Yes.
Yep. So, and then you'll have his details.
Okay, so we can approach them.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And he is qualified too, so that's excellent.
I don't mean to be pedantic, but I've got a photo here of in 1997,
Yeah.
and it's more than 2/3 bigger
Yeah.
than it is now.
I think we've had a lot of southeasterlies this year, and that's what's created that problem.
Southeast at the moment.
When we get the, have a northeasterly season, it goes the other way, and it actually clears Billy Point, and it goes to the other end of the beach. So it just sort of wanders up and down the beach, and then a bit comes up the harbour.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And I've been watching that for 40 years now.
And we used to have a gentleman called Bob Abercrombie, who took extensive photos at the time he was alive, and he had spent 50 years on this coast too. And he used to talk about a teacup. We're getting a lot of easterlies at the moment, and he would say you'd have easterlies for a couple of years, and then you would have the type of easterlies that bring the wind currents and the water currents as well, and Jim Dunn says the same. And then it reverses and goes the other way.
Thank you, Anne.
Yeah.
I'll bring,
So this is the right.
Sorry.
Mm.
My name is Will Udro. I don't have my name on the list, but I believe we have to be discussing one more, even more urgent issue. Everything what Judy mentioned is extremely important, but it's a long-term plan. Even though we call it urgent, it's still a long-term plan. For you, my understanding, you're majority of you from Tairua-Pauanui, and you're unaware of the magnitude of the damage. Can you imagine just Judy standing on a sand floor? So dune, top of the dune will be a meter higher than her head. So when you're talking about excuse me, planting grass, it's not an issue. It's 6 to 7 meter step down, not an issue. What we need, and we need immediately, we need to alter how public dealing with the situation. Because I personally interacted twice with the children. They start to use this dune as a playground. They just jumping on the dune, sliding, even using bicycle to go down the dune twice. And me and my wife, we both were facing quite aggressive reaction from the children. They are plainly unaware of the danger of their own, because if this dune will slide down, they will be underneath of the sand. Plus, they are intensively damaging dune further. So we need signing this side of the beach immediately. South end of the beach sign more or less properly. Our end not signed at all.
No.
Not at all. Second issue.
Yeah, I see people walking to the edge,
Drive and traffic on the resort. It's just unheard of. So constantly, council's car, builder's car, continuously driving on the resort itself. Grass cover of the resort in a very poor condition. Year after year, it's getting worse and worse. I'm not an expert, but from what I can observe, definitely grass is not growing properly. Possibly this constant driving makes situation even worse. So there are few issues that can be addressed straight away. So, and I don't know whom we should address and who we should activate and bring their attention just to go this entirely urgent matters straight away rather than waiting for 50 years or any longer.
Yeah, there's no
Because
interest.
there are very, very obvious issues which needs to be done. Grass has been neglected for years. It's just weeds and moss all over the place. And driving non-stop, obviously just spreading the situation.
thank you.
I just like to make a quick addition to that comment about the children. Not only are they there jumping off the dunes for fun, they're actually stamping it down and taking chunks of it. And, you know, that's their playground. They're having fun, actually bringing another meter toward it. They're just, you know, that's, you know, they're trying to get the biggest chunk to slide down there. They don't have any appreciation of the erosion. And it is getting pretty close. It's actually less from the Judith to me. It's about 7 meters, where it was 50 3 months ago. So it's coming. See the urgency, and at least signs, ropes, something so the children don't actually start pounding away. It would be appreciated.
Thank you.
Just one thing on that, I've been here 20 years, and this subject has come up every year. I was in charge of Parks and Reserves here for about 15 years, and a lot of that was the dunes were sown with the, remember we had the biomass plant up at Whittier, all that stuff was spread across the dune. That first year, the growth of grass on it was fantastic. It didn't last 2 years and it was all dried up again. We wanted bollards along the top of the dunes to, like it's got down at Whittier, at Wangmata, to keep the people off the dunes. This council here voted against it. So there has been a lot of things going on the dunes, but if you go back to the time when we batted the dunes back, it's come back again. All its things have been tried on it, but we've got to think out of the square to get them back onto it. So, you know, if we go back onto our minutes over the years, we'll find that all that we've been talking about here today has been discussed many, many times.
Thank you, Gordon. Well, that brings us to the end of public forum. I'd like someone to move second that we receive those speakers. Seconded. Thank you. 1.4.
Do we?
We're finished.
Oh,
Sorry, we're finished.
Right.
Public forum is finished.
Do we take from this that we shouldn't worry about down there, that it's cyclical, and is that your guys' impression? That we shouldn't worry about it and it will come back, or should we be planning something? We're not quite sure what you guys think.
We're not experts on beach erosion.
No, I'm certainly not putting our heads out. No, we've finished the public forum. Sorry.
You're a second.
The staff here will have listened. 1.4, items on the list.
Yeah, so, do you want me to just comment?
Just sum up for us.
So through the chair, so heard everything. So I'm Bruce Hinson, I'm the operations group manager from the council. So heard everything everyone said. It is cyclical, but obviously we are getting quite bad erosion at the moment, and we're getting quite bad erosion up in Mercury Bay as well on a couple of sites up there. So it's not just Pauanui. It sounds like Jamie Boyle, who's our coastal scientist, he is new. It sounds like he has sent an email out, and I'm more than happy to arrange for him and Tanya Patrick, who's our dune planting coordinator, to meet with people down here at the beach to have a look at it on site, if they haven't already, and start working with the community on what we're doing moving forwards. Hard structures often aren't the answer these days, but happy to go with whatever option we work out as the best option to move forwards with. But it is an issue that, like I say, is not just Pauanui, so there's pressure on a number of beaches. But I think the first step would be to meet with the two staff that are the key people involved and then go from there. So I'm happy to organise and facilitate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Are there any items on the agenda?
No, there's nothing.
All right. Are there any conflicts of interest? 1.5?
Not yet.
Okay. So we move into 1.6, confirmation of the minutes. Here I'll move.
I'll second.
Just introduce. No, next. I just. You just move. So it's near.
Yeah, I really appreciate it.
So no discussion, there's nothing. There's no discussion.
Discussion on the minutes, any discussion on the minutes? I just confirm the fact that there's a committee now formed to discuss Holland Coast. That's brought up and that's good, but I can't attend that first meeting, but it will carry on the 20th of August, is that right?
It's understood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That's the only thing I noted.
Yeah, Jonathan rang me the other day,
Right.
apologised for not being done.
Yeah.
And said that the meeting would be going ahead on the 20th. Well, it's very shortly, he thought the 20th.
Right.
I think he was going to talk to the board first.
Okay.
Good, so can we have a move in a second? All those in favour?
Aye.
All right. Yes? No? 2.3, we're going to move to 2.3, which is the Community Services Award. Can we have a move in a second that open for discussion? Sorry? Yes? We get it?
Oh, really, really briefly, as perhaps a number of the elected members will be aware, the Community Services Awards have historically been run every 2 years. Previously, there was a subcommittee of council formed, the nominations were called for district-wide, and 2 people were awarded, given an award. The suggestion is that actually it's probably more appropriate that that's done community board by community board, and the report is really just letting the community board know that that's the plan, and this community board would then consider the applications from this area, and the recipients would then all come together for recognition in December. So it's considered at the last council meeting, and that was the suggestion. So it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Jerry's nodding.
Yep, no, it's, I think it's a great idea. We could really not have a fair analysis right across the district. So this way it gives each board a chance to pick a couple of people who've been standing up in the community and doing things and put them forward. And I think that, when's that presentation in December, is that right?
8th of December.
8th
is
of
the plan.
December.
It would happen at part of the, it normally happens at sort of morning tea of a regionally scheduled council meeting, so that's the date.
Yeah. So I'm happy to move that resolution, Mr. Chairman.
Read the resolution.
Yes.
The resolution is that we received the 2020 Community Services Award report dated 5th of August 2020. Endorses the change in methodology recommended by the Council for the 2020 Community Services Award and agreed to consider the applications for the award at its November round of meetings. We approved the following timeframes for the 2020 Community Service Awards. Advertised for the Service Awards by Friday the 21st of August. And close the nominations after 6 weeks at 4 p.m. on Thursday the 1st of October 2020. Community Board then considers and review nominations and confirm the awards at the November 2020 round of the meetings. The recipients will receive the awards at the council meeting on 8th of December 2020. So, I'd like to move that.
I'm happy to move that way.
We have a second, Anne? Yes. All in favour?
Aye.
Yes? All right, thank you. Item 2.1, Tairua Work Program.
Through the chair. Chair, I'm happy to speak to this one and answer any questions. Obviously, very early in the financial year, so a lot of projects only just getting going, but happy to take questions.
So maybe start off, Bruce, with the first one. So there is additional costs obviously related to Raw Billy Point. Have they been collated and finalised?
So the team are busy working on that at the moment, yeah, so it didn't go to council last week, as you would have noted. There's a little bit more work being done on that, making sure they understand the requirements with Heritage New Zealand, and so we'll bring it back to council. Yeah.
We're still working on that, it's been going on for.
It has, yeah, it has been going on for a while now.
Yeah, it's due to be finished in Easter.
So no, they made a call to kind of hold off on the stuff that they couldn't get done, and we're going to get back into it after Easter. But obviously with the COVID-19 situation, they couldn't get back into it. So it obviously had to get pushed through to this part of the year. And there are some issues that we've talked about before around the budget, with the additional requirements that were needed on site. So so they need to come back and request that additional money.
It's a long-winded project.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it has taken a while. It's been hanging around for a while.
I thought the financials would have been sorted out while they couldn't do anything. That's what I'm alluding to.
I think through the chair that there's a discussion. Tony Ward spoke about them trying to finish it off, and Art Quilling put out a good email trail about that information, and making sure that we know do the numbers first and understand the contractual requirements before that happens. So he was trying to get the men shed to try and push on it, but we need to do the numbers first and get it right.
Bruce, I've got a question.
Yes.
In relation to the drinking water standards, has the project at Pauanui actually been started?
Oh yes, yeah, the treatment plant at Pauanui is going very well. You can just kind of see it through the trees as you drive past. It's on the site next to the wastewater treatment plant.
And second question, what was passed at the council meeting the other day, the Three Waters program, will any of this be able to be applied to the funding from the Three Waters?
So we're still going through the detail on that. We've only just got the application forms out. We have to apply and give them funding, a funding program, a request for what we're going to fund with that money that we get from central government. It has to be done by the end of September, so I'm looking after that. And there's a number of different areas that you might try and fund. There's some criteria around what you can and can't fund. And so we're just going to go through and do that process and look at where we get the best benefit for council and for ratepayers.
Okay, please look at this side instead of just the other side.
Yeah, we will. I mean, water supply is district funded, so so it's not like one community is going to benefit while another doesn't. Overall, it's all within the same district funding program, which is good.
Good.
Just through the chair too, Bruce. So the trance on that, do you know the money that's going to come forward, or is it just all into a pond at the moment?
No, so it looks like at this stage we'll be picking up somewhere around 4 million for this council.
That's for all the whole peninsula.
Yeah, so the whole peninsula. So they've got the that money that they're splitting across all the country and all the councils. Auckland Council, which has got its own separate arrangement going on, and at this stage ours looks like it's between 4 and 4.5. I think was the numbers from round about.
Question. The PP toilets.
Yes.
I'm aware it came to the public forum as well, just when we were at.
Yes.
And I realise that people can go and have a look at the process, but what is the actual starting date now that it will be?
So the build start date is the 7th of September.
Still the same as what you said last meeting?
If that's what I said last meeting, yeah, okay. Can't remember what I said yesterday, little last meeting, but 7th of September is the build start date for that public amenities.
Thank you, Bruce.
No problem.
And that'll happen pretty quick, eh?
It should happen pretty quick, yeah. So as we've probably talked about before, there's basically 2 manufacturers in New Zealand that do those public toilets that they basically built off-site, like in pods, and then they bring them on site, and then you end up finishing them, putting roofing on, all that kind of stuff. So the one in Thames, the one that I kind of always reference at Pirate Park, quite close to the mall there, And that was a very good project. It all happens quite quick once it gets on site because they're brought in all ready to go. Yeah.
And there has been feedback from the Takara when I've had a couple of phone calls, and they're pleased with it.
Excellent, that's good.
I
Thank
need
you.
to put it in my report.
That's all right. Thanks for that. Very pleased with it.
Yeah, very pleased with it.
Excellent. Thank you for that feedback.
Because they do have a lot of people go down fishermen
I
and
bet.
swimmers
Yeah.
and children and families.
Yeah, it's quite popular.
Yeah.
So through the chair, if I can, just on to those toilets, Bruce, it does say here noted that NZ Heritage will be attending the ground preparation work. Isn't all the undergrounds done, or they got to put a new pad down?
So there would be a new pad, there would be new concrete work done. I think the location's slightly different to the current toilet. So yeah.
Are they estimating issues there, or is it just they want to front up for a look?
I think they just want to front up for a look. Basically, Heritage New Zealand will look at, if they've got the resource, they'll look at anything that's in the coastal area. So any projects that we're doing in the coastal area and other areas inland further as well, but particularly coastal areas, they'll come and have a look at.
What are they exactly looking for?
Just looking for other artefacts, any kind of heritage features, those kind of things. I'm not a specialist in that space.
Yeah. Right, Bruce, can I ask a question too in regard to New Zealand heritage? It's not just about iwi heritage,
No.
It's also about European settlement as well.
Correct, yeah.
And so they do find that there's quite a number of sites up and down this coast that actually are good records of the total settlement.
Yes, yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah.
Any further discussion, the work programme? If not, somebody move, well, the resolution is that the Tairua-Pauanui Community Board receives the 2020-2021 Tairua-Pauanui Community Board Programme dated 6th of July 2020. Can I move the second, please? Thank you, Terry. Second?
Yep.
Chris, thank you. In favour?
Aye.
Yes. Harry, thank you. 2.2, Tairua-Pauanui Community Board grants, 2020-2021. You have a move and a seconder. Open for discussion.
Yep.
We have this line by line.
Seconder. Terry, was it? Thank you. That part I didn't say, but that's, we confirm and or decline the allocation of community grant funding in the 2020-21 community grant budget. Wow.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Any of them go through each one?
Yeah, I think when they go line by line, we need to, I need to understand some of it.
Yes.
I like the system that I went last year, we had the board at the end of the day and we looked for that.
Yeah, the problem was that nobody, you all put your rankings up there and then nobody took any notice. But we'll meet line by line anyway, so we'll just go line by line.
Yeah. All right.
This one, Pirate Elementary. That will work.
No, I'm just going in there. I've got copies all over.
Yeah, oh, yes.
Under the bundle.
That too.
Got the other in the church.
Yes, I did.
And just to check, nobody's got a conflict with any of these grants, have they?
Could I say something? I've actually tried to spread right across all of the local ones because they're all equally worthy and it was really hard. But
If you ask the
anything that
question,
came-
does anyone have a conflict of interest on any of these grants?
No.
It was just double check, I didn't think you did, I just needed to double check.
So I understand it's changed too, just to clarify, if they've got a conflict of interest only on that particular thing, they have to stand down, and not the whole thing. Okay, we're on board. Let's go.
Taken from the top, the Elam Church, the light paying. This is something that's been made over each year. I don't have any problem with it.
Quite good, Joseph.
This year,
Okay, they're after 2,000, so
I've gone for 750.
and here,
I go for 500. First one, Elam Church,
That's our reason.
number one. First off the block. No.
Well, they put their financial in there. At least we email.
yeah, the financials came as a separate email later on.
Page two, where you want to?
750 or 500?
Where's two? Yeah, it's on the first one, yeah, there we go.
well, I've actually got 500, I said 750, but I actually put them in for 500. The next is me, yeah, I'm just waiting to hear.
I'm
And,
happy. I'm happy.
I said 750.
yeah,
So 500,
Yeah, I'm
500
happy
it is?
with 500. Yeah, they're reasonably wealthy.
well, they just want to try, so they go, yeah.
Okay, Tairua and Friendship Club.
right.
I sit at home every week and watch them and they do a bloody great job.
I thought they were fantastic too.
And the people who never get out of their houses, get out once a week to go and have a meal with other people.
And they run those buses really well,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
1,500 is what I gave them.
1,500?
I gave them 1,000.
1,000.
Okay, well,
Okay, so there's 1,000 or 1,500?
Barry, what do you think?
Well, I have no idea how much it's cost. Well, they say they're applying for 1,500. So thousands of money. No problem.
I know they do an excellent job. They also get funding from the Area Health Board to run those buses, and they get paid a hospital fee for those buses as well. But they do an incredibly good job in our area.
Okay, so 1,500 or 1,000?
Just put 1,000 down now, and we'll have a look at the end and see if we've got any money left.
Yeah, well,
Coastal walkways.
Coastal walkways. Again, I thought this was $500, and I thought, well, yeah, it's a lot of volunteer type stuff, and it's a community thing, and everybody enjoys from it, so I was happy with 500.
Same here.
Yeah,
I've
I'll agree with that too.
Yeah, I've given them 400, but I'll make a comment that there are another group that do an incredible thing. It's also a reserve at the top where they want to put the replacement of those things, so there's a safety issue up there.
At the top of.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so 500 it is?
500 at the moment.
Okay. Tairua Sports and Rec.
Right. This is a grunter. But, so the question I got asked around this, Tairua Sports and Recreation, how does that work with the Tairua-Pauanui promotions? Is it sort of the same thing, or is that totally different?
Two different things.
Two different. So did Tairua Sports Club have nothing to do with the fireworks display and all that?
Not I'm aware of. This is actually for they run events during that week of Christmas, New Year.
Right.
So this is funding to help them run the events. I think they do about 5 or 6 different events during the days.
So totally different.
Yeah.
Okay, this is easy to understand.
and it's huge for Pauanui, that was absolutely, and it brings a lot of people in who are not residents, so they come in and they use motels and all kinds of things.
So I put 6K in here, and I didn't quite know what to do, so I'm open for discussion here.
I put in 6.5, and again, it's a group that has an incredible good thing that happened, and I think we should be supporting them perhaps in this COVID-19 funding that's available for some.
Yeah, well, it's certainly at the club, I know that, and this is a huge thing with a lot of volunteers and everything. They're asking for 14,500.
Yeah.
I'd say no reason 12,000. I need it. I really do.
Yeah, I had a ring the other day from somebody at Francis John Martin Campbell Trust, and she had the comment to say that it is absolutely what's happened from COVID the charities, all of them are having real problems and real fun, and they've got an incredible amount they have to dole out, but they can't because they've had that many funds.
So Chris, what were you looking for? So you've got 6,000 and 6.5 at the moment?
Yeah, probably it's 6.5, I suppose.
I looked at their financial position at 2019 was 3,309,000, but over COVID, they might have had a tough time, and they do, it's a good community process.
So 6.5?
Yep, 6.5, and we'll see how it goes. Yep.
Well, I've actually got 8, but, can we have a look at that? Can we can return to that?
come back.
Yeah, we can come back to it.
That's all I still with that.
Yeah, I'll leave the numbers later.
Yeah,
They're right at the moment.
we've only got to these years and.
Okay, central kids?
Raincoats.
I actually cut them down to 200. And there is an education fund that's available for preschool as well, and there's Kids First that also provide raincoats for even the police. And there's also the Education Board that provides raincoats for real needy areas, like decile schools.
Yeah, I'm in support of Anne here. I thought the government's funding a lot of this stuff to try and help people through this. I didn't know how effective it was in terms of the program outside the school program.
I wouldn't have thought they were that low decile.
Yeah.
Most of the kids would have raincoats.
Well, I would have thought so. I found it quite a strange.
My kids always have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So 200 is on the table at the moment?
because again, they're a good group. You know, I know it's an education, but those kids do fantastic things like rubbish collections, they've grown a vegetable garden out the front so that anybody in Tairua can help themselves.
Well, you've got to be first in because it's only a garden about big as this table here.
Yeah.
So if you're not there first thing in the morning, you're not going to get squiddly.
I know.
The reason for Brooks had to get out of bed.
Okay, Tairua Heritage Group.
That's school of care.
Tairua Heritage.
Yeah, the Heritage Group, again, another organisation that's quite strong, but I thought $600 was what I was prepared to consider here. Again, happy to listen.
I gave them 500. I'm no longer a member. I resigned when I stood for
Chris,
board.
what are you going to give up?
Yeah.
I gave them 5.
So Chris,
Okay, right, yep,
so 500?
yep.
What are they for?
To redo
605.
the heritage panels.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
community library?
Yeah, community library, it's been quite a strong focus through council of the libraries, because there was a lot of funding cutting out of the budgets. But just upgrade the seating and shorten the section, so I didn't know how effective, it wasn't books per se, didn't know how the guys felt about this. Needed some advice.
That library's cool. We used to live here for 6 years, and me and Shed helped move the library and make racks for the kids. And also too, the seating was good. They have really, lots of volunteers. It's not run by council, it's run by volunteers. And they read stories to the kids and do all sorts of things.
I gave them 1,000.
You go.
Yeah, I gave them 800.
Okay, so what are we, 1,000 or 800?
Yeah, I can't comment. My wife is the president of the library, so
Is this the Tairua Heritage, is this the Tairua Heritage?
That's right, even so.
This is the Tairua Heritage, is that right?
No, we're on
Oh,
Pauanui.
Tairua Library,
We're
sorry,
on
yeah,
the
moved on,
library.
that's right, yeah.
So
So I've got to get my head right. So they want 1,300, to 10,000.
Yep,
Okay.
so we're on 1,000 for those?
Yeah, okay, righto.
Okay.
And that library is actually.
Environmental Society?
Oh.
Oh. That sounded ominous, really. Ben Grove, they're after an awful lot of money.
I had trouble with this.
Well, they just said they want a contribution, so they were happy to take less than what they wanted, which I don't know what they wanted.
I gave them 500.
They've applied for 19,000, nearly $20,000.
Yeah, but they've asked for a contribution.
no, they've asked for a contribution.
I gave them 5,500. They're an active group. They also do pest control around the pepe and other places. And they also.
This is particularly targeted to the eradication of a noxious weed,
Yes, I
which
realise.
I would have thought would have come under our council's umbrella.
It should come under what?
Regional council.
And if not regional council, but I had trouble with this. I just don't.
There's actually a bit of dockland there too, isn't there?
Yeah. I just thought Doc would have been very much involved in this.
So I checked with Lou, and Lou said that the noxious plants, that, what is it, Aleagnus or whatever it is, actually came from our road reserve. He's tried to get rid of it, but it's jumped and it's gone into the private properties and the other reserves. So, we've got a fair bit of road reserve there as well. It's on.
Okay, so in lieu of it, it does here, it says under the application, specify where the remaining funding will come from. It's got Waikato Regional Council Community Grant. So they obviously got some money coming there, so.
Well,
a small contribution from us would be to fit in with I think so.
So, okay, so we're going with
But
500.
500, I was following.
I put 5,500.
We're going for 500.
500.
500.
Oh, so what are we, 5,500?
No, 500.
500?
When we look at council, what is council's policy with pest and plant eradication? That's all I know.
What contract is there, so they don't do much.
We've got a weed buster that lives at Tairua, and he runs all weed things. My husband.
We've got a guy in Tairua that does the same thing.
Yeah, well, my husband Chris sat on the nursery association thing that worked out on his weed plants. And we used to have the weed busters guy that would come to the garden centre on the carcass if we were selling weeds. And yes, there are contractors under him.
You know, I'm not listening.
And he's running.
I'm asking what the council, have they got any money anywhere?
Okay, do you want me to jump in there? So through the chair, regional council do most of that noxious weed stuff. But if it's on our land, we will work to try and get rid of it as well. So if it's on our reserve land, we'll try and get rid of it. If it's on the road reserve, we'll work to try and get rid of that as well. But in conjunction with the regional council that are actually more in charge of that. Obviously, DOC is involved as well on many of their land. So we do get, where there's their land and our land butts up together, so we work with those other agencies. So that's really what we do. But the main player in that kind of stuff is the regional council.
Maybe they need a prod.
Sorry?
Well, they're going to
They
get
do get
something.
prodded. They do get prodded. Yeah.
And I take it from an island saying there is some of it is ours and this contribution would fit there. You're saying the road reserve is part of it?
Yeah. Where I'm coming from, is it a district thing? Why is it our problem?
Oh, because reserves and that all local funded anyway, so it comes out of local money.
Okay.
Yeah.
500 it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tairua Information Centre?
I support this 100%. I support the information centre, whatever it wants to do.
Yeah.
I gave
Is that
them
the same?
1,500.
So the first one is the Santa Parade.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gave them 1,500.
I'll give them a foreign.
You give them a 500. So, sorry, Anne, you gave them 1,500 for the Santa Parade? Anybody else?
I'll give them the 2 grand.
I gave the 2 grand.
All right, so it's 2 grand.
Hmm.
Okay, the CCTV.
Well, that's the standard, we need that, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I gave them 1,200.
How does that link in with the discussion we had today about cameras?
That TV is at the bridge and it's a number plate recognition camera.
Right.
I've seen it work.
Yeah.
I think I get the bridge count every month. And I've seen that been with the cop and he's had a text come through and it's been 45 seconds from the time a stolen car went across that bridge to the time he got a text.
Pretty good, isn't it?
So it's pretty swift, yeah.
So is this new program that's put in will link in with that system? I mean, is it big enough to take these other cameras onto it?
I don't know anything about the text.
that would be something
But
that.
he got it through a crowd called Nortec in Auckland.
Right.
To do all that kind of electronic stuff, so.
I also have a query around that because now that we've got this new program looking through it, and also too under the Privacy Act, the Privacy Commissioner has a lot to say about who has access to these camera records and who they're stored. So I think, you know, we need to work with everybody on this.
That's a discussion that will happen
Yeah.
when you get there, so it's not
Yeah.
a discussion for now. Okay, residents and ratepayers.
Right.
It'll change when the privacy thing will change when the privacy commission gets involved.
Yeah.
What do we decide on
The cameras, the 179.
The actual cost,
Yeah.
So the resident ratepayers, the A to Z social support booklet, is this popular and how successful is it?
Well,
Yes, it is. It changes though, and that's what has to be done regularly because people leave or people die and the go-to person list changes and it has to be updated. They do an extremely good job, but this I've cut them down to 800.
I did big ones. I think it's got very limited value.
Yeah.
Really, honestly, it's still on a bit of paper that usually finishes up in a rubbish tin. I mean, it's, you know, no, it's a booklet, but, you know, honestly,
Yeah, it could be done online.
yeah, these things here are things you want to know something quick, don't they?
We've got a lot of elderly
Yeah.
in town that are
Anyway.
not. And it is well used, and apparently on, sorry, to interrupt, on Tairua Chit Chat, I think they've got about 400 or 500 responses, and it was overwhelmingly in favour of.
Yeah.
What did you do for Chris?
I gave them 500.
Yeah, 500 would be.
500, we'll put that down, okay?
And it's another one you've got to look at.
Okay, fireworks.
Yeah, that's another big discussion one, because didn't they move last year away from, there was some issue about this being run?
I had a talk with Jill, so yes, so the Tairua-Pauanui Promotions Committee are a separate entity to Experience Pauanui.
Yeah.
Experience Pauanui though end up by running it. All the donations and all the grant money goes into the actual Tairua-Pauanui Promotions bank account. So they actually have a separate bank account to Experience Pauanui. And at the moment, John Heinmarsh from Experience Pauanui is running the fireworks displays.
Yeah, Paul Shorter had done it for many years and then he retired. And I also see, I know a group at Tahahai when there's no clouds, they actually gather and they can see the fireworks display
So
from
what
there.
did
I
you,
see that it's very,
Well
very good. I'll
supported.
give them the whole lot.
you give them the whole lot?
Yeah.
Okay, and you've answered on
And I've spoken to people that come down to the area just to see it, stay in a motel and go away again.
The,
I've cut them down to 7.5 because of economic
Okay,
situation.
Terry and Barry?
I put 7, so.
You've got 7, Barry?
7, 5, 8, 8.
8?
Go for it.
Warren?
well, I just gone for the 10 first. I mean, it's, I
10?
don't, yeah, but look,
Well, what, say we put 10 in and see how we get on
Yeah.
at the end?
you remember what happened last year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hindmarsh wanted out of it. Paul wanted, he didn't want to get involved. I agreed to do it one more year now. I'm happy to go along with it, but I've got a few reservations. I know for a fact that the army guy that came up and he had the ticket for he was very unhappy with the barge. The barge leaks.
I think it's a new barge now.
There's not, unless you're talking about John Norman's barge, there's no new barge that I know of. But anyway, his concerns are that he had a safety issue with it. So, sure, I wanted to go ahead, but we want to make very sure that the health and safety side of this thing and the security side is tightened up, as well as the accounting. I wasn't happy last year with the way the accounting went. There's no committee as such. They're handling in excess of $20,000 of public money, and we need a good set of accounts to back this up. So we need, whoever's going to run it, they need to provide us and the community really with how the funds are you know.
I note that there was no financials in
No,
this
but you
thing,
need
and I
some
thought it was a bit odd.
transparency with this.
The email came through later from John Hindmarsh with those financials
Right.
that were sent.
And they look all right?
Sent on to the board.
And it was updated in the usual bundle as well.
But there's no treasurer or secretary, it's just,
But it may be after you printed it out.
I had to solve the problem with what the army guy says. Could Ray Kelly, a safety officer for TCDC, be involved in?
Really got nothing to do with it.
no,
Nothing to do
no.
with it.
no. But anyway, look, I'll do some little work behind the scene on that. But Harold, I've asked for, I've gone for the 10,000.
Okay, we'll leave it at 10,000 and then if we can come back to that. So at the moment, you're up to 27,000, so you've got 10,000 left. So the next one is your CCTV cameras here in Pauanui, so they're normally, the whole lot. Okay, the SPCA.
No.
Can we go back to the,
Sorry, I missed the Parliament neighbourhood support, what happened there?
That was the one that you normally give the whole amount to as well.
Okay,
That's the
right.
CCTV cameras insurance.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
I
Yeah.
got 2,000.
Okay.
Okay,
It's actually a
SPCA.
valuable resource for the community when we've got no police.
Oh, you know, they need them. It's-
Yeah.
No police.
SPCA.
Nothing.
I didn't
National
support
body,
this.
we've got two groups in our area. We've got, Vicky's one over from the Tar that rescues cats and dogs and neuters them and it receives funding for it. And we've also got Kimberly Cannon over the other side of Thames that has a cat rescue thing online. And I know that SPCA get really good funding and they're just trying.
Well, I didn't give them anything.
So everybody's given them nothing. So Tairua Trail and Tides.
Yeah, I thought this was worth considering. Another thing that benefits everybody.
Okay, no
The
problem.
first one was excellent, but I've cut them back because of our budget and I've cut them back to 1,500. But it was well attended last year and it was,
Chris, Terry?
Can I ask just quickly, is there a traffic management cost in this?
Yes.
Well, can the council look at helping supporting that through Kirsten? She's done the same thing for a street party in Whangatai.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that would help that, and then we could maybe help our funding, we drop it down to support that.
So at the moment it's 1,500 and a recommendation to Kirsten to help with the TMP.
1,500?
The Marine Reserve Trust.
no, I got nothing, it's actually private group.
Okay, nothing.
And they can get stuff from the education board to fund those trips for people up to it.
I thought you said they can get stuff there.
Community office.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do, so you figured it out for me. Okay.
Pauanui Community Office for
It's
the,
one with task money. It's one with task.
for the notice board.
I've given them 3,500, what they're wanting to do, I've looked at it and that says sign plus I think it's sink there in this location and I think it's good. But again, I've had to cut everyone's back. So I've given them 3,500.
And I agree with that.
I don't understand what they're on about with it. 3,000, you know, for a civil defence.
Signs cost lots of money.
Science costs lots of money.
Well, I have to agree with Barry. I mean, it's a hell of a flash trying to have A4 and A5 sheets of paper in it.
Yeah.
Well, whatever the cost is the cost, so if they've got a price for it, that's it, unfortunately.
I don't think we shouldn't get anything. Go to see the men's on that day, see if sort it out for them.
So what were you saying, Chris? 3.5?
Yeah. They've already wasted money on that damn side and that tsunami side and all that kind of rubbish.
We can go back to them anyway, if we run it out, we can go 3.5 and we can go back.
They've got it quite clear what they want to do with it.
Because at the moment you're at 32,000 and you've still got,
5 to go.
5 to go.
Yeah.
So belly full for Diana?
No.
I didn't quite know how this fitted into our area.
They were trying again, they thought they got the funding everywhere, it's a common thing that's happening.
So that's fine.
More.
The adventure racing, the K2. Does
I've
that
paid
fall for
on
Valley
lot too, and I've
Yeah,
wondered,
nothing not for Valley
yeah. And
Adventure racing, okay, that's a private business.
yeah, they're raising money for a
Right
disability
back in Coromandel.
thing at Coromandel Park, and they do it every year, but they were wanting it for accommodation, and I've given them naught, but I thought maybe someone in the group from Tairua who's helping could put them up for the night.
So all agreed, zero?
Well, I have a son, two sons that compete in this every year.
You've got Stephanie Perry who looks every,
And they
goes
don't-
every year.
They
too.
pay $180 each
Yep.
for this event,
That's right,
and they don't get any help out.
no, so they can put up the people like they did with the tortoise event.
Well, I put up several in my house.
So do we, and Tiffany Perry comes.
Anyway, so there's nothing?
That's another thing, so the Hawk Society,
Yeah. The defib batches, I actually asked, how many defibs have we got in Tairua at the moment?
I think.
So who maintains the rest, the one out the garage, how do they ever check the batteries?
Well, there were some of them were provided by the fishing club,
Yes,
because Brent organised those.
so do they follow up in maintenance, or what happens?
Oh, mate, do I know, that they come in due now, I guess.
And the ones that are up on Parkoo, in private properties?
Yeah, they got to fund it, right?
Yeah, and the hall is well used by multi-groups.
Oh, yeah.
And hard to get right. And the batteries do have to be replaced.
We're all candidates for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
So who looks after the other who looks after the other batteries?
I don't know.
So
Well, I know the fire brigade.
The fire brigade.
Five guys who look after our own.
What happens to the ones over here?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't think it's actually come up before.
A bit like bloody smoke alarm, Brookie.
Jill might know.
I mean, you've got several here.
Oh, we haven't done this.
No,
I don't know.
They've got some in the club, they.
Are they rechargeable or are they just?
No,
No, they got a new battery.
throw them away.
And how long do they last?
5 years, I think.
no, that's why they're relatively new.
Yeah, I think the batteries do run out, I know fire brigade in St John checked theirs.
Yeah.
And.
Oh, yeah, I know, I just asked the question, I mean, there's some over here and it's never really checked, so who's paying for them? Well, they just forgotten. Who checks them over here?
I really don't know. I mean, administrators got a rate pay association.
There's some money for council that can go around checking all the defibs and get paid for the checks.
Anyway,
Okay,
what
so
are we
what are we
doing?
giving the Hawk?
We don't know.
I'd put 350,
Yeah, well, it's just,
because it's really an emergency.
You're either paying for
the
it or
difference
not paying for
between
it.
350 and 367 is not a lot.
Might just go
Not
for
a
three.
lot.
Can I do 300?
I took
300.
No, you've got to give them a lot or nothing.
360.
Yeah.
Okay, Pauanui Half Marathon.
This is a new event and they've been putting a huge amount of effort into it.
So this is to fund
Evelyn,
This isn't to fund the one that's coming up in December, this is to,
From
because,
March.
yeah, because
Yeah.
you approved for them to retain the
Yeah.
funds to run this December event, which was postponed.
yeah,
So this is funding towards the one that they would have March next year.
yeah, I've cut them down to $1,500 and maybe there's some sort of support the events.
I thought $1,500 for the traffic management
Yeah.
offer.
Well, depending on what we've got left, either 1,500 to £2,000.
Terry, I heard on the community board, on the council meeting the other day, the question about these traffic plans and can we develop a template? I think that's important instead of reinventing the wheel each time.
Yeah, they are, especially of the ones that are consistently come
Yeah.
around these events, they'll have a copy paste type and make that cost come down because it's
I
less
think
out of
so.
control.
We see funding to help
We're going to
with
look at the break.
marketing and promotion.
Yes. And I think that's probably important. Yeah, but let's go to the outside wheel.
Yeah, the promotion of it does need a bit of a push, I suppose, so. And yeah, traffic management is another part of it, so, yeah, I thought
Is it
1,500.
is it an actual organisation or another business?
Yeah.
No, it's an organisation.
Sorry?
So we're 1,500?
Okay.
Amanda does an extremely good job. She
And-
says so that
How much?
I said 1,500.
1,500?
Yes.
Okay. All right, last one,
Rugby club,
rugby club.
The kitchen.
I gave them 1,500.
this is down in, this is in the pavilion down the bottom.
Again, it's a very
They spend,
excellent group.
spend a lot of money in there.
Yep. And it's an excellent group running that rugby club now and, you know, working with other groups.
How much we got left?
1,500?
Boss?
Sorry?
How much we got left?
So we're up to 3,500, so you've got about 1,800 left.
I said 1,500 for them.
Sorry, that's with the 1,500 in.
Oh,
Yeah.
For
We've
who?
got some money
For who?
left over.
The rugby club.
Rugby club, 1,500 for the rugby club.
Well, I suggest we have a break.
And
We
then we just make sure
scrutineers
that,
here can,
make sure that we have,
assess.
Compare spreadsheets.
Second, Scrooge.
just make sure that we have got the right figures here. And then we can go back and either allocate some more or take some off. So we'll just double check the edits.
Yeah.
So Julie?
We're in recess for 5, 10?
Yeah.
10 minutes?
I'll have a coffee, they're turning it off.
Coffee is all out there, coffee?